I'm determined to do it no matter how long it takes. You know, I looked at another player who went from non-league at the age of 25. At the age of 25, you would think that your time's up, but it's really not. You just have to keep striving to do it.
And that's a great message, and I applaud you for saying that, because a lot of people will look at it and think, okay, you know, if I don't make it by the time I'm 20 or just under, then I'm not going to make it. And the person you're talking about, is that Steve Morrison?
Yeah,
right.
The 25-year-old, yeah. And obviously everyone's seen what he's done. He's played in the Prem, he scored goals in the Prem. And maybe he didn't do it so early. Maybe he could have done it earlier, but the opportunity wasn't there. So, you know, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, well, he's done well, and obviously you've got Bradley Johnson. There's a lot of players that have come through the remit, DJ Campbell, a lot of players that have actually done what you've done. But your story, I would say, is still unique in the way in which you've done it. And does it still feel surreal now that obviously, you know, 2.5 years later, you're, you know, classed as a Premiership player? Do you feel any different in any shape or form? Not so much different in terms of who I am, but different in terms of what I've learned in the time that I was there. Football-wise, I've learned a lot, because you get to see a different side to football. You know, coming up through non-league, I never thought that one day I'd be a Premiership player. But I've got there through perseverance, through the right help, through having myself focused. You know, I never hang around on the street. I never took myself away from what I thought was right. And at the time growing up, I always thought that it's football every day. So, you know, I think that I've learnt a lot. I think I've grown up a lot in the last 2 years, and sometimes I think back at how I was when I was 20, when I just started at Harrow, and it's amazing to see that in that time I've grown into a man in a way. You know, I'm only 23. I'm not the oldest player you're going to ever meet, but I think that I've grown up quite a lot in that time. Definitely matured in that period of time.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about that time just before that transition from Ilford to Harrow, you was talking about your feelings then, where you was unsure because of university. What was the key things, and what was the things that you wasn't sure about? Well,
at that time I was in my last year of college, and
because we had a conversation, I remember that.
Yeah, when you came and watched, and I knew I was going to go to university, because I thought I would still be in non-league for the duration of university, and then maybe a lot of years after. But I felt like maybe football wasn't for me as a number one achievement. I'd always, in the back of my mind, while I was having the downhearted feeling, the feeling of, oh, this isn't going to happen, I still thought in my mind that there's no need to stop. You know, I love football. I like football. Football was everything to me. So I tried to get through it. But then, like you said, we had a conversation, and having that conversation with you did actually change my mind a lot, because I thought that you've watched me play, so there's nothing that I have to do to show you more than what I can do other than work hard.
And what was the key things that I said to you at the time? Do you remember exactly what our conversation was?
I remember there was parts of the conversation where you would say to me sort of thing that, you know, you can play higher, and that, you know, if watching you today, there's sort of certain things you've done that are not normal in this league of what you would see with every player. And you sort of said to me that, yeah, you know, you can go higher if you just keep trying, if you use the opportunities you've got. So I think it did help to have a fresh opinion of someone, and at the time I didn't know you so well. So it was a bit like, you know, I asked the manager there, who is he, sort of thing, and he gave me an opinion which made me think, oh yes, you know, this is someone with experience, someone with the kind of intelligence in football that I need to see me, sort of thing. So it was good having a conversation.
Yeah, well, that's the key thing, because there's a lot of players, and the reason why I asked you that question was because there's going to be a lot of players watching this and thinking, well, I don't care what this person's telling me, I'm going to do what I want to do. Yeah. And that's the attitude side of it that I wanted to try and touch on.
I even made that mistake a few times myself, because coming up in non-league, you sort of, at a young age, you stick to where your friends are sometimes, or you stick to people that you trust. And if someone from outside of what you see as your personal circle or your circle of trust speaks to you, sometimes you can put your back up and think you don't know anyway. Like if you have a bad game and someone says to you, you should have done this, you should work harder, you might think, well, forget what he says, I'm going to do what I want. And maybe, you know, it all definitely depends on the person. You know, if the person's willing to really want to go higher, then sometimes criticism is what you need to push on.
Constructive.
Yeah, of course. You wouldn't want to be put down when it's not necessary, but if it's criticism that's going to help you build on yourself, then it's always good to hear another opinion rather than your own, or someone who's going to butter you up and say, yeah, don't worry about that, you did well, it doesn't matter, when really, you know, you can do better. It was good.
And this season, just to cap off our conversation, you know, it's probably been a hard season for the football club. and probably for yourself as well, because obviously the opportunities have probably been a little bit limited, more than what you actually wanted. But are you still positive? Are you still feeling exactly the same way you just feeling when you got there? Are you still chomping at the bit?
Yeah, of course. If the opportunity comes again for me to play, or comes again for me to sign somewhere else, or at the same club, or if I had to do it all again at the age I am now, I would always have the same attitude, because I know that in the time that I've been playing through non-league mainly, I learned that, if I want it, it's there. It's not impossible. So, this season, like you said, it's not been the best for the club. The club's been relegated. It happens. You can bounce back up. It doesn't mean the end of the world. So it's sort of, for me, I think that it's been a good learning curve, because obviously last year the club managed to survive on the last day, and everyone started again this season with a big push to try and maintain again Premiership level and to climb higher. But